Well, like Steven Seagal, convincing the world that he was unchokeable until Judo Gene LaBelle got tired of his crap and not only choked him out, but made him crap his pants on the set of Out for Justice. The truth is, nothing lasts forever, and that includes the Dammocalypse. Yes, friends, we're moving on from this journey. In fact, I was at Walmart just the other day. Don't worry, I've been practicing safe social distancing and all that. Being a little nostalgic about the beginning of this when I saw Universal Soldier on 4K and decided that's where to start. I texted my friend Gonzi and said, let's do the Dammocalypse. But yeah, we're moving on because I was thinking about all the canceled sporting events, canceled sports, and we're going to, fill the void there. So we're going to move on. We're forgetting all the flowers in the showers, but April pandemics may bring sports flicks. So we're going to do some of our favorite sports flicks. And Van Damme the man, he's helping us bridge that gap as we go all in for a little Die Hard in a hockey arena with sudden death. I hit one. Did you ever hear about the time Steven Seagal brought a guy into his trailer and told him that he had just read the best script that he had ever seen and that it was written by Steven Seagal? That's Seagal for you. And you know what script is undoubtedly better than that one? The one where the owners of the Pittsburgh Penguins decided to go all in on a Die Hard in a hockey arena film. They figured what way to better market our team in our new arena with a retractable roof. Now, Peter Hyams was fresh off directing Van Damme in what was the biggest hit of his career, Time Cop, and they decided to do something else together. He looks at the script and says, man, there's some wild stuff in this film. It's just too bad they would never let us film in that arena. Then he finds out the story originated with the owner's wife. So he looks into it and he goes, well, I'm not a hockey fan. I've never watched a hockey game. I'm not interested in hockey. So he started going to some games, and then he realized, wow, this is actually a pretty athletic sport. It's pretty entertaining, and like so many of us have figured out, it's much better to watch live. Now, the film is such a die-hard clone that Van Damme's character's name is McClure. It's like someone copied McClane's homework and was just like, oops, just change the handwriting. But anyhow, we open up with Jean-Claude McClane, and he's a firefighter, and it all goes wrong for him when a dead kid ends up in his hands. Now, it's one of the oldest, quickest exposition tricks in the book. Have your character go through a horrible event, and then, boom, throw on a 2 years later title. Now, Peter Hyams obviously likes this. He did the same thing, basically, in his Arnold vs. Satan throwdown, End of Days, even down to the fact that Arnold's a firefighter in that film. And it's still better exposition than Seagal hiring hot girls to hold up shadow cards to hide his fat neck. Look it up, he does it. So 2 years later, Jean-Claude McClane, he's a fire inspector who scored tickets to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and his kids suddenly think he's cool again. Unfortunately for him, the game is also being attended by not only the vice president, but our resident Hans Gruber stand-in, Curly Bill himself, Powers Booth. He's a HawkSchlock favorite for Tombstone, Red Dawn, Sin City, of course Deadwood, my favorite show of all time. And here he's eating so much scenery, he's probably gonna have to get a diabetes check after filming this movie. Now, if you're here for the hockey game, well, we get a couple quick goals in our first period matchup. I don't care if you were packing heat, you couldn't get a ticket into this game. Our announcer, Joe Bucking Obvious, going full screenwriting 101 with game and plot correlation as Curly Bill himself and his crew of bad guys, smarter than the good guys, take the vice president and some other rich white guys hostage in the presidential suite. Now, while Van Damme's off doing his job, his daughter gets mixed up with a bad guy, and of course Van Damme then gets mixed up with said bad guy. And now we're almost 40 minutes in the movie now. Van Damme's finally gonna fight a henchman, who of course is a femme fatale, dressed as a Penguins mascot. I actually gotta give the Penguins owners credit for the stuff they allowed Hyams and Van Damme to do, because it's almost on par with the time Phoenix allowed Steven Seagal to go on a raid of suspected dog fighters, and they allowed Seagal to drive a tank, which he promptly drove into the house of the homeowners and killed one of the dogs. Anyhow, so we got a fight in the arena kitchen, and our mascot femme fatale is steamed as Van Damme sends her through a fryer, and at the same time self-asphyxiates herself with the penguin neck strap. Somewhere, the lead singer of INXS and Keith Carradine are jealous of the imagination used here. Another henchman tries to fight Van Damme, but of course Van Damme knows his way around the kitchen better than Seagal did in Under Siege, even though he was a chef in that one. But anyhow, Van Damme, now we know he's straighter than an arrow, but he still bones this bad guy. Of course, somewhere along here, we get some feds on the scene. They're trying to figure out what's going on. The vice president's hostage, they know that, is the feds. They're trying to fly a chopper over the arena at one point. Now, we've all played GTA with that one guy who dresses like a 90s Gen Xer, and he just camps up on top of a rooftop, bazooking everybody. Well, that's exactly what happens here. The fed chopper gets bazookaed, and cue the villain scream. And then we're back at the hockey game. Scratch my back with a hacksaw, says the announcers. The Penguins tied up, 2 apiece. That's the real Penguins announcer, by the way. For the hockey game, they initially filmed an exhibition game with about 10,000 fans, and then they staged a second exhibition game between some minor league teams for the up-close, on-the-ice action. They put a camera on more or less a skate, but who cares about that when we got a zombie driving a Zamboni, say that 5 times fast. And a bunch of dead Secret Service agents are served up on ice. Van Damme, meanwhile, he must moonlight as a member of the bomb squad because he knows how to disarm these things, and he's going through the arena trying to find all the ones that he can, because Curly Bill himself, he's got the whole place rigged to blow. And oh, plot twist, our leader of the federal agents, he's actually in cahoots with Curly Bill himself. Now he's gonna try and fool Van Damme. Never took the Fed to be a flamer, but you give Van Damme a super soaker and a lighter and have that super soaker be filled up with lighter fluid, and he'll flip any man. The Fed's face is melting quicker than Kevin Spacey's career, and then Van Damme, he's gonna put the finishing touches on this death by beating him senseless with a heavy-duty guard flashlight. Not just for show and tell when you're in the dark in a Die Hard clone. Back in the hijack suite, Van Damme's daughter, she at this point stamps Curly Bill's hand and, gee, I wonder if this is somehow going to come into play later. Screenwriting 101. Back to hockey. Get him a drink and buy his dog one too, the announcers proclaim as the Penguins take a 3-2 lead in what they call a tight, intense game. It's full-on rush as Chicago ties it at 3, and then the Penguins goalie is sick as a dog, and maybe he's got, I don't know, the Rona or something, because he goes back, he's got to leave the game, he's got to put a ventilator on. Meanwhile, Van Damme, he's hunting down bombs and being hunted by goons. And to save his own butt, he tosses some poor girl working the stand selling cotton candy down the stairs into a thug. Then he goes stepping all over fans to get a better seat. He makes his way into the back locker room, where the Penguins goalie's on that ventilator, and Van Damme uses it to his advantage to put on the goalie's uniform and head into the game. Those cheap seats weren't good enough, and neither was the front row. He's got to play in the game. Now, he may not live in reality like most celebrities, but that doesn't stop Van Damme, the man, from getting the save of the year, let alone the punch of the year. Firefighter, fire marshal, bomb squad expert, now Stanley Cup MVP, except for that punch gets him thrown out of the game. He cares more about the bombs in the building than winning the Stanley Cup. What a D-bag. Now, have you ever seen a roundhouse kick while someone wears full goalie hockey pads? Well, the goon waiting for Van Damme, the man, back in the locker room, he gets a first-class POV. Try that, Fat Jack Segal. Now, Van Damme actually was wearing tennis shoes for most of the stuff in the goalie gear, but they taught him how to shuffle like he was actually skating. Now the game is coming down to the wire now, and Chicago's up 4-3. The Penguins, if they don't score, Curly Bill, he's going to blow up the entire building. But Van Damme finishes off another henchman. Oh my goodness, Pittsburgh ties it with seconds left. We're going into sudden death, hence the title. Now Van Damme, he must have binge-watched Breaking Bad, because apparently he's also a chemist. He's either MacGyvering up some bombs of his own, or he's making some speedballs for the after party. But now he's climbing the arena like 60s Batman, and then it's time for blood sport on top of a hockey arena. And a few punches and one big Van Damme kick later, and that guy sent screaming. He's fallen faster than Steven Seagal's career after Under Siege 2. Now right here, there's a camera move that goes up from ice level all the way up to Van Damme hanging up on the roof, and it's amazing. Let's not forget that Peter Hyams was his own cinematographer. And for that shot, what they did is they put the camera up on a stool and a rope pulley that was attached up through the ceiling out to a guy in the truck. The truck would then drive to pull up the camera operator. Suck at CGI camera moves. Well, forget that techie crap, because Jean-Claude McClane just dropped a goon on the arena jumbo box score display. Then Van Damme's like some kind of human zipline. He's flying across the arena on a lighting rig like the Archangel of Sudden Death, or dropping his speedball bomb right over the presidential suite. Holy John Woo, this is where the NHL just canceled its sponsorship with Viagra and prescribed all of its players to watch this film as an erectile dysfunction medication. Well, we're never going to find out who wins this fictional rematch of the '92 Stanley Cup. Now, my money would be on the Penguins because their owners, produced and helped write the movie. But remember that stamp I told you to remember? Well, daughter Van Damme sees right through the disguise Curly Bill has on because of it. Screenwriting 101, and now it's time, after a little chase, for Kickboxer on top of a hockey arena. Now Curly Bill, he gets the upper hand, he gets onto a helicopter ladder to escape, but holy crap, Van Damme just goes full gun fu, shooting up the thing. It tilts up 90 degrees, up, and then heading down, and it's going down in super slow-mo. Enough time for Powers Booth to really think about his career choices. So all our remaining bad guys get blown to bits, and we get bonus fireworks, even without a Stanley Cup winner, and they film that sequence with 9 cameras. Suck it, CGI. So anyhow, just like that, Van Damme's son, he's been won over by his dad again. All it took is him almost getting shot, stabbed, concussed, blown up, even playing in a Stanley Cup game to prove it. And it's Schlosker time. We got best, dumbest good guys, best use of a kitchen to fry, choke, and bone bad guys, best use of a sports mascot, suck it Ace Ventura. We got best use of exploding humans to give sports audiences fireworks, best human zipline for Jean-Claude. Best use of a speedball to kill bad guys. Now remember kids, drugs kill. Best Die Hard clone of 1995. On my Schlock cinema scale of Winona Ryder's face as a walking emoji generator, I'm going all in on this, giving it 5 Winonas. And yes, we never figure out who Curly Bill's real name is or what his real purpose is beyond the money. We don't know why he had all the inside info. All we know is that Jean-Claude kills like 30 goons in a hockey arena. Highly recommended.
HawkSchlock.